exactly what happened here and will hopefully lead them to a shooter or shooters in this case.
Indeed, and the cameras, you know, they're your best eyewitness anymore. Talk to prosecutors in this city and talk to investigators. It is that surveillance video that lands a case and nails a case. When you are not only trying to track down who's responsible, but what role did they play and how did this unfold? What was the motive? What brought these parties together? What was the engagement? Where did they go? What happened possibly before, leading up to, and at the moment that shots were fired, and then afterwards. I'm watching the video here, and I don't see a lot of markers down. Perhaps that is out of view from some of the responding units parked there. But, you know, for 7 people to have been hit in what has been characterized a drive-by shooting, it's unfathomable once again to try and understand and process some of what happens. The term broad daylight might as well just be retired at this level, given the episodes of violence that we continue to see unfold on the streets of Philadelphia. Just one more note. We do know that, of course, members of the highest levels of the Philadelphia Police Department are at this scene. So it would be customary to expect a briefing at some point where we will begin to get some, very, good preliminary yet good information as to what they suspect in this very early stage of the investigation.
Joe, something else I've noticed as we look at the scene, lots of commercial businesses along that route. Again, as we talk about the surveillance footage that we may have gleaned from the seen on the buses, I'm assuming there are cameras all over that route that may have seen that car, whatever color it may be, that dark Hyundai.
Yeah, right. I'm looking at the video. I'm taking in some aerials from Google Maps and trying to actually count up the number of businesses in this area. I mean, it is dozens. So you're as plentiful as that video might be, you have to put boots on the ground to actually go and physically get it.
Sure.
So that all takes time. And, we have the real-time crime center, which is monitoring of cameras across the Delaware Valley. And that facility has been pressed into service to figure out exactly where, they can start surmising route of travel. And I'm watching our camera go in on a daycare center. Once again, this is basically a nerve center of Northeast Philadelphia, Borough Home, one of many there. But this particular location, you have so much going on with 3 major streets meeting within a tenth of a square mile.
Yeah, always a flurry of activity there, Joe, as you and I both know. Siafa, we've done many stories there. We know that 4 different bus routes converge there. Joe, that's what we've been told. Again, many of these students, this is their sole transportation to and from school is on the SEPTA system. Again, Philadelphia Police and Philadelphia School District confirming for us that all of these victims are juveniles at this point, and 4 of them have been taken to local hospitals. So I can only imagine we'll see Commissioner Bethel out there. Again, he was a former school safety police chief, of course, with the Philadelphia School District, so he knows all too well how important it is to deal with these incidents involving juveniles. Many of them are a part of the Philadelphia School District. We also can only imagine that Mayor Sherrell Parker will be at that scene at some point or is being briefed as we speak, because we know that crime is the absolute #1 priority for her new administration.
Joe, are you still there?
Yes, I'm sorry. You know what, Natasha, as you were saying that, I was reaching out to the spokesperson for Mayor Parker to nail that down if she has in fact been briefed about this, because with Commissioner Bethel and the past experience you've mentioned, he was passionate about the unfortunate and honestly, I can't even find the word when we spoke to him about the effects of this gun violence epidemic and what it was doing to the children who attend Philadelphia city schools. And I remember having a very passionate interview with him about the proliferation of guns. And, Kevin Bethel was motivated, if that's the right word, to try and disrupt the trend that we had been seeing for far too long. We know we do stories about children shot all the time. Sadly, many don't always make it home. And Kevin Bethel really grabbed that and made that a major I can't even come up with the words. It's frustrating to know the people on the other end of this, the hard work they do in trying to bring this under control. And yet again, here we are, more reporting in an afternoon about the city of Philadelphia.
Yeah, we've seen Commissioner Bethel. We've also seen Mayor Parker express their, again, as you grasp for the appropriate words, the appropriate adjective, anger, frustration at the scourge of gun violence. And as Natasha and I have mentioned, this is the third consecutive day in which there has been a SEPTA-related shooting in this city. Of course, Monday afternoon, a 17-year-old was killed, 4 others were shot. Last night, a 37-year-old was killed in South Philly. And then here we are again today with 7 juveniles, at least 7 juveniles, 4 of them already transferred to a hospital.
And we're seeing that innocent shot there, Siafa. Just again, there's a daycare center right nearby. You see parents that are obviously coming to get their kids possibly. We're seeing them with their backpacks there. You know, it's a frightening scene, a frightening situation and scenario for any parent, you know, caught up in the midst of all of this. Whether you realize it's your loved one or your child or not, there are other children who are around this scene. We know that some of the stray bullets hit a SEPTA bus. That could have been anyone. We know some of these other shootings have involved some of these stray bullets hitting random victims, and they have become the victims of violence that was not meant for them. So we know this is an all-encompassing kind of a problem here that involves the entire city, and everyone should be concerned about this. So we have some different vantage points actually from different cameras there in the neighborhood. We know that Nikki Dementri is also just arriving there on the scene. She's on the ground now. She can tell us more of what she's seeing and more of what she has uncovered about this investigation so far. Nikki.
Natasha and Siafa, you know, as we were walking here, we're standing on Rising Sun right now. I'm going to step out of the way so you can see this. We're near the Quaker Diner. Cottman Avenue is just at the end of this block. You can see tons of police cars, police tape, SEPTA buses pulled over. But as I was walking over here, someone said to me what I heard Joe was talking about. How did this happen again? That is the big question here, right? There have been several incidents just this week involving near or at SEPTA stations, buses, things of that nature. People are wondering how this keeps happening. And that's something we just heard as we walk down the block. Now, things are blocked off Cottman Avenue all the way down Rising Sun towards St. Vincent. There are several buses, SEPTA buses, just pulled over on the street. You can see that one right there. Behind my photojournalist, Nate Silvis, there are 2, 3, 4 other SEPTA buses just pulled over on the side. People, riders are just waiting to get back in as people are just trying to figure out what is going on here. I know you guys went through all the logistics here. We know at least 7 victims of what appears to be a drive-by shooting at this time. All are with Philadelphia school juveniles, I should say. We're working to learn if they are students or not. There are parents, as you mentioned, Natasha, that are at that daycare down on Cottman trying to pick up their kids. There's a daycare over here as well, and there are parents just frantically running in to try to pick up those kiddos with their little backpacks, just trying to go home. Not only just battle the rain out here, but what is going on at this time. A very active scene. I did ask some officers as we were walking by when we might hear an update. They said to me right now, things are fluid. So as soon as we hear that update, we'll bring it to you live.
And Nikki, we do have word that in the 7200 block of Rising Sun Avenue, I guess that's where police are setting up an investigation headquarters to try to get everyone together to figure out how to go about, you know, processing this scene and also getting us information as well so that we can pass it along to our viewers.
Right, absolutely. And, you know, I was talking with the SEPTA spokesperson on the way here. Their knowledge at this time was that this happened on the street near a bus stop. You could see another police car coming down. Again, this is all blocked off. If you're trying to move around in this area of the Northeast right now, you're not going to be able to because there are officers and crime scene tape just about everywhere as this investigation continues. As you mentioned, we'll be heading to that 7200 Rising Sun Avenue spot to hear the latest from police whenever that may be.
All right, Nikki, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Nikki, to you and your photographer.
Yeah, we're seeing all the activity there with police that are on that scene at this point, trying to process multiple scenes possibly in that area. If this was a drive-by shooting, they've got to process a large area likely where bullets may have been flying to and from. And
I was just going to mention that a large swath of area, I think 3 different streets affected by this horrible incident this afternoon. 3 o'clock, Councilman Avenue, Rising Sun in the city's Borough Home section. At least 7 juveniles, police tell us, have been shot. 4 of the 7 have been transported to 2 area hospitals, Einstein and Frankfurt Torresdale. A Route 18 bus was also involved in this incident, caught in the crossfire. Thankfully, nobody on that bus was injured or hit by any of the gunfire. Yeah,
so we're still gathering information. Again, we have multiple crews. Nikki is not the only crew that we have there on the scene. She's there now. We have others that are en route as well. You can see that the weather is certainly a factor in all of this today as well. It's really a nasty day out there, pouring rain. Traffic's already snarled, so it's going to take a minute for folks to get there, but we can only imagine that the police commissioner is heading to that scene, possibly Mayor Sherelle Parker if she is in the area, since this, of course, is the utmost concern for her. The #1 priority is combating crime and rising crime here in the city of Philadelphia, especially as it relates to juveniles.
And we do have this now into our newsroom. Here are the first calls about the shooting from police radio this afternoon.
15 City, Councilman and Rising Sun, sir, got multiple people shot. Sent up by SEPTA. We do have rescue going. We haven't.
Yeah, Richard, it looks like at least 3 people down on the highway. They all appear to be juveniles.
We're just hearing some of the snippets there from 911 calls as police tried to respond to this mass shooting here this afternoon at 3 o'clock in the afternoon at Cotman and Rising Sun Avenue in Northeast Philadelphia. Again, police looking for a dark blue-colored Hyundai or a dark-colored Hyundai. Police may also have an eyewitness to this mass shooting, we understand through our sources. Investigative reporter Joe Holden is working his sources at this point and getting more information about how police are trying to find as many as 3 shooters that may have been involved here this afternoon in this mass shooting.
The model of that Hyundai is unknown as they try to find it, and whether it be 1 shooter, 2 or 3, however many shooters are involved, as they try to locate that car and those involved and responsible for this tragedy this afternoon. There was, of course, a 911 call, and as you mentioned, possibly some eyewitness reports as well, speaking to Philadelphia police.
Yeah, and look at what we're seeing here. This is one of our weather maps, actually. We're kind of getting an idea as to where all this activity is happening there in the Burholm section of Northeast Philadelphia. You see that red dot there. You can see that's the focus of the investigation, where the crime scene is, where the shooting took place. So we've got the arrow there that's pointing to the Burholm section of Northeast Philly and where this active investigation is playing out at this hour. And
that live radar map just showing the rain this afternoon, complicating matters, of course. It's rush hour. It's a busy Wednesday afternoon. People are trying to get home, and this is going to make everything much, much worse.
Yeah, so this radar that we're looking at is the exact time that this happened. We're gathering here from our news director. It happened at 3 o'clock this afternoon. This is the exact time this happened. You're seeing where that all took place, that red dot there. And let's get back to the ground here. Nikki Dimitri has got some new information for us there on the scene. What do you have, Nikki?
Natasha and Siafa, I just heard from a SEPTA spokesperson that 2 SEPTA buses were hit by gunfire, the 18 and 67. He tells me no one on board was injured at this time. You can actually see one of those buses. It's right behind my photographer right now, Nate Silvis. It is behind the crime scene tape right now. Again, SEPTA is saying nobody on the 18 or 67 were struck by gunfire, but those buses were physically hit during this shooting. That's the new information we have in right now. Again, a very developing scene here. We've just seen more officers come into the area. As the rain continues to come down pretty heavily, people are running in and out of these businesses, 1, to get out of the rain, 2, to try to get into a safe area to get out of this area since everything is shut down at this moment. Just wanted to send you guys the latest information as it comes into us. Again, a very developing situation.
Yeah, fluid situation there on the ground. That's why we're seeing those buses parked exactly where they are. If they were caught up in the crossfire here, police are going to have to process those buses, try to figure out, you know, how many many bullets were hit the buses there, and try to figure out that part of the investigation as well. So 2 SEPTA buses, an 18 and 67 bus, hit by stray bullets in the midst of this mass shooting this afternoon in Northeast Philly.
Thankfully, the most important part there, no injuries suffered on either one of those buses caught in the crossfire this afternoon. As again, this is a fluid situation as always. At least 7 juveniles shot this afternoon around 3 o'clock at a SEPTA bus station, where usually there are around 4 different bus routes converge there at that area. 7 juveniles shot this afternoon. 4 of the 7 have been transferred or transported to 2 different area hospitals, Einstein and Frankfurt-Torresdale. Our investigative reporter Joe Holden tells us police are looking for, preliminarily, a dark blue or a dark colored Hyundai, model unknown, and possibly 3 shooters that may have been involved in this mass shooting up in Northeast Philadelphia today.
And we're seeing, again, they're processing the scene there. Multiple police departments there, you know, pretty much converging on that area. We understand that the police commissioner will likely be out there, possibly Mayor Sherrill Parker, as well, as this is a mass shooting here in the city of Philadelphia. 7 juveniles shot, 4 of them taken to the hospital. We don't know the extent of their injuries at this point, so that is still something we're working on. And again, all of this happening in the midst of this rainstorm here. Just talking to Grant Gilmore, we saw the radar there when this first happened. That was the map that we were showing you when this all took place, actually in the moment there at 3 o'clock this afternoon there in the Northeast. So we saw the rain coming down heavily. At that point, it's even heavier now, we understand, and it will be even heavier, and at least it's heavy as it is right now, through at least 5:30 this evening. So the rain, of course, and the weather hampering possibly this investigation as well. It's certainly playing a part in it, as you can see. And that Hyundai, the car that police are believed to be looking for, is now confirmed to be a dark Hyundai sedan, of course, 4-door vehicle that they believe may have been involved in this shooting this afternoon. Yeah, and again, SEPTA making this a priority, just having a press conference just earlier today to talk about safety being a priority for passengers there on their transit system, in light of the fact that there have been 3 separate shootings around their transit system just in the last 3 days, this being the 4th here around this SEPTA bus transfer station there in Northeast Philadelphia. Chief Investigative Reporter Joe Holden is on the phone now. He's been gathering more information from his sources. Joe, what can you tell us?
Good afternoon once again. So the spokesperson for Mayor Sherrill Parker just confirming that she has been briefed on this incident. That's about all from Joe Grace with the mayor's communications office. There's also an email from SEPTA just a moment ago from Kelly Green confirming that SEPTA Transit Police and Philadelphia Police are reviewing video from all angles. Nikki Dementry reporting the Route 18 and Route 67 buses were hit with gunfire. And I'm asking some of my other sources, can we get a handle on, how many shots were fired in this incident? Because it's gone out as now, it's been characterized as a drive-by shooting. And we've heard reports of some, how some of these 7 juveniles have been injured, which is consistent with the characterization of a drive-by shooting. But again, the amount of activity going on here, the fact that buses were hit and also 7 people hit in all of this, it's just a terrible situation, and absent any logic, of course, and few answers as to why this set off just before 3 o'clock this afternoon. With the amount of attention to locating the people responsible for this, that is sort of in play with perhaps when police may turn and speak with our news cameras and our reporters at the scene as to what they have, what they know, and perhaps some better information or some clearer information on where that dark blue Hyundai sedan is possibly at. What direction did it go to? Remember, a human being has to sit in front of a monitor and connect the dots on points of start and finish and all of the in-between. So it is a lengthy process. And a final note about the area itself, we've shown that it was raining steadily. Not sure what the timeline is with the the students being at that or near that bus stop at the time, but we now know we can confirm that there were SEPTA vehicles, buses themselves in that area. Remember, those are all cameras. They're all wired. And so hopefully information is available soon as to possible identities of those involved and path of travel.
Yeah, and Joe, you've been talking about the fact that there's got to be someone sitting there looking through and combing through thousands of possible video sources here. We're talking, at least 30,000 surveillance videos between SEPTA police and what they have in their system and Philly police. I'm getting this information from Josh Sanders, who's going to be reporting on that particular story today and why these surveillance cameras are such an integral part of solving crimes like this when they happen. So there is certainly, I can only imagine, no shortage of video between the businesses in that area and between the video that is on SEPTA buses and in their transportation system overall.
And here's an important update that we're just getting. We should all have it here at 428 from Tanya Little with the Public Affairs Office for the City of Philadelphia Police Department. 2:59, numerous 911 calls received reporting a mass shooting near the Dunkin' Donuts there. At this location, Councilman and Rising Sun, police discovered approximately 7 victims at the scene with gunshot wounds, all taken to local hospitals. Their current conditions remain undisclosed, is the word they're using. The victims are suspected, police say, to be juveniles. And they are also urging members of the public, anybody who's watching this, if you have seen something with any information regarding this, call 911 immediately. Of course, anonymous tips can always be made to 215-686-TIPS. And the police wrapping up that information, that flash they're giving us with, quote, our hearts are with the victims and their families during this difficult time. And sadly, how frequently have we read something like that as of late in Philadelphia?
Joe, you just said all were taken to the hospital. Is that a correction from what we've been reporting, that only 4 were taken to the hospital?
All individuals have been transported to local hospitals, is what Philadelphia Police Officer Tanya Little of the Office of Public Affairs is telling us now.
Yeah, we're still unsure as to the extent of any injuries. Joe, I heard you say that the conditions are undisclosed at this point to us, so that is still something we will be following as well to find out the conditions of these 7 victims involved in this shooting. But Joe, we do appreciate your reporting there, and also you getting information from your sources, as it's becoming available to you in real time. We know there's a flurry of activity out there at that scene, still trying to grasp the extensiveness of that crime scene at this point, as we know that several roads are closed off as police work to try to gather evidence and also try to find the shooters behind this mass shooting.
Well, good afternoon. At 4:31, you are watching CBS News Philadelphia. We have been covering breaking news for the last close to 40 minutes or so. At least 7, we believe, juveniles have been shot in the city's Borough Home section. That's in northeast Philadelphia at the intersection of Councilman Avenue and Rising Sun at a SEPTA bus station. 4 different buses transfer at that location shortly before 3 o'clock this afternoon. There is believed to have been a drive-by shooting. Individuals in a dark Hyundai sedan opened fire. 2 buses, 2 SEPTA buses, Route 18 bus and Route 67 bus, were also involved in the crossfire. The buses were hit. Thankfully, nobody on board those buses was injured. All 7 juveniles have been transported to the hospital. We are not sure of their conditions at this time.
Yeah, still not sure of the extent of their injuries, but again, police do believe they're looking for at least 3 shooters in this case in what appears to have been a drive-by shooting there involving that dark Hyundai sedan. Again, 2 buses hit by stray bullets, no one on board hurt, but this is still an active investigation that's playing out there. This is a very busy area there in northeast Philadelphia. Multiple businesses. This was the height of the afternoon. There are child care centers nearby. We saw folks rushing to get their children out of that area as quickly as possible as they are having to navigate around the city's latest crime scene. 7 juveniles shot. All of them taken to nearby hospitals, not sure of the extent of their injuries, and still not sure of a motive behind this latest violence, and still no arrest just yet.
A very fluid situation, of course. We have Councilman Anthony Phillips on the phone with us right now. Councilman, are you there?
Yes, hi, how are you? This is a very tragic situation for me, and I'm just at a wit's end right now.
Well, tell me what your thoughts were, sir, when you heard about this latest shooting, again involving all juveniles at this point. My heart dropped, literally. Having worked with young people in the city of Philadelphia before city council, one thing I know is that when kids are trying to get from one place to another, when it comes to their getting home to practice and just using the bus to get to a safe space, they're not expecting to get shot. So in my mind, I'm thinking about the parents of the victims. I'm also thinking about the juveniles who are at this point who are part of the shooting, the people who did the shooting. I'm thinking about the fact that they're lost right now because they have no business doing that type of behavior. We got to really at this point take a serious look at all possibilities to end this violence in the city of Philadelphia, and I'm at my wit's end right now. And Councilman, just give us some idea. We're looking at this crime scene video playing out right now in the Burholm section of Northeast Philadelphia. We're also seeing just how congested and crowded that area is. It's always a bustling area. Tell us a little bit about that particular area and what you know of what's around there and some of the businesses.
That is one of the most busiest intersections in the city of Philadelphia, particularly in Northeast Philadelphia. Any time of the day, there's normally a large congestion of not only people going to various restaurants in that area, but it's also a busy busing area as well. Residents of Northeast use that intersection to get to pretty much every point in Northeast for the most part. It's called 5 Points. And so it takes you into the Burholm section, to the Longcrest section, and it kind of even gets you into Somerdale. And then also if you want to go to, not Somerdale, Oxford Circle, if you also want to get to the county, Montgomery County, it takes you to that area. So it's one of the busiest spots in the city. So, I can only imagine every resident in Northeast right now just feeling a sense of horror because it's like, this Northeast, I grew up in I went to schools in Northeast, and, Northeast has never had this amount of crime. And for something as horrific as this to happen, it's alarming for all of us in the area.
We should mention, Councilman, this, of course, is in your district, correct?
This is in the district and in my district, and I'm reaching out to all of the different community leaders and neighbors, and a lot of them have been calling me ever since this incident has happened. And I'm actually en route there right now. I haven't come from some other place, but I'm at this point now. I'm just like, we need to get something done.
And Councilman, we still, of course, are trying to gather more information about these 7 juveniles who have been caught up in this mass shooting here in your district. What would you say right now to those family members out there who are possibly just finding out that their loved ones may have been caught up in this violence?
Yeah, I would say to them that, we got a call. We're going to be there for you. This new administration, the mayor has some great ideas and how we can solve this, but at the end of the day, what we're going to do is that we're going to be there for you at this very moment because I know you're concerned. And I know as residents are listening, they're like, yeah, we heard this before, but, I think this time around, we're going to get this right because there's going to be some policy shifts in how we handle these circumstances going forward. I can't talk about it, but the comprehensive strategies are going to involve resources as well as other support systems and just some really, hard tactics to stop this violence. But I'm just at this point, it's like it's time because it's between yesterday, the other day, at MOTEP with the MOTEP students, and now today, if people don't understand that we have to shift our policies and take a different way, by now then we're lost. So. Yeah, that's where we are right now.
Councilman, before we let you go, we were discussing earlier the frustration and anger that Commissioner Bethel and Mayor Parker have expressed about the scourge of gun violence in this city. I assume you share those sentiments as well.
I do, and I've been in conversation with Commissioner Bethel, and I believe he's going to get it right. It's been 2 months in, and they've been putting their resources together, but. Now I think they're now at a point where, they're getting amped up themselves, and it's almost ready to just, release what needs to be done. At the end of the day, I do share their sentiments. We have to have some support systems for not only our young people in the city of Philadelphia in terms of diversion programs and so forth, but we also need to find a way to make sure that people understand, not only just young people but adults alike, that this type of lawlessness cannot be tolerated. We've been preaching it. I've been preaching it ever since I got on city council. I was the guy who put together the ski mask bill because I wanted to help police officers identify criminals. We're at a point now that folks just want to see laws being not only abided by citizens, but they want to see that the police officers are enforcing these laws and seeing that people are actually getting getting the help, being held accountable for them. And it's at that point now. People can talk about and parents. Our parents have to do better, right? If you know your kid is having trouble, get them help. Reach out to me. I'll take a kid in, right? We all have to have responsibility. If you know kids on your block are acting out, you have a personal relationship with them, take these kids in before it gets to the point where they're shooting another teenager. We all have personal responsibility. Everyone keeps looking at the elected officials. We have our responsibilities, and I believe in that. But at the same time, we as a community have to step up, too. And I'll be the first one to step in. I've worked with thousands of kids before, helping them go to college and become leaders and get careers and so forth. And now everyone else has a responsibility, too. And so looking at this scene, it's just unbelievable. You send your kids to school, and then you expect them to come home on a bus. That was a normal thing. Now you don't even know what's going to happen. So at this point, it's just like we have to do better. And I am in full support of our Philadelphia Police Department to use whatever resources they need to get a hold of these issues. Yeah. And our district doesn't deserve this. Our neighborhood, the Longcrest Borough Home, we don't deserve this. Those residents are outraged right now, and I just need them to know that help is on the way.
Well, we can sense your frustration, Councilman Phillips. We certainly understand as well that you're doing everything possible to try to keep your constituents and all of us here in the city of Philadelphia safe. So we do appreciate your time, and so sorry to see this happening in your council district. We also just have another update here for you on anonymous tips, because we want to get these shooters in custody at this point. I'm certain police are working on this fast and furiously. We know that there were several 911 calls that came in, a flurry of them coming into the Philadelphia Police Department at 3 o'clock when this mass shooting happened. We also want you to submit any anonymous tips as well. If you've heard something, if you saw something, that's again one of the busiest areas in the city of Philadelphia. So we know that there are multiple people, many people who were around that area when this happened. You can submit anonymous tips to 215-686-TIPS, or you can just contact 911 immediately if you have any information. Again, police still looking for as many as 3 shooters in this case, possibly driving a dark Hyundai sedan in what we now understand was a drive-by shooting there at Cottman and Rising Sun Avenue.
We can also share with you that one of the 7 victims, all 7 victims believed to be juvenile who have been transferred to area hospitals. One of the victims is believed to be in critical condition at Jefferson Torresdale Hospital. Yeah, and Alicia Roberts is live at Einstein Hospital. She's there on the ground now. Alicia, what can you tell us? Because that's what we've been grappling to find out, the extent of injuries in this case.
Yeah, that's right, Natasha. Siafa, good afternoon to you. My sources on the ground also confirming one of those 7 juveniles that was struck by the gunfire this afternoon is in very serious condition this afternoon. Their thoughts go out to their family members getting that phone call. It is a parent's worst nightmare. It is a busy afternoon time of the day and a very busy intersection of the city. As the councilman said a moment ago, I'm also from the Northeast. I have family that was raised there. I went to elementary school in the Northeast, and if anybody knows the 5 Points intersection, especially after school hours, your mind goes to just how many people were in that area when that gunfire rang out. I was with Commissioner Kevin Bethel on Monday afternoon, and that was for another SEPTA shooting that happened where that 17-year-old passed away at Ogons and Godfrey Avenues. And he said, quite frankly, after school hours right now is becoming one of the most dangerous times in our city for our students. You fast forward 2 days later, and here we are with a mass shooting situation, and hospitals like Einstein here bracing for victims coming in and family members too having to get that news. Now, just a few moments ago, we did see some sirens coming here to the hospital. Traffic is very heavy. The rain is not helping things. It's unclear if that siren was related to this mass shooting or not. Certainly, this would be the place where some of that family might be able to get here as soon as they possibly can to get that news, to check in on their loved ones. Again, a lot of the details still coming this afternoon, but your thoughts certainly go to the families and an entire community that is affected when something like this happens. Again, like the commissioner said just Monday, the thought goes to all students that are simply trying to board a bus after school, and then a threat for something like this happens. It's hard as a parent or anyone that has a young child to not worry about the safety of their students for simply from leaving school, getting on a bus, and now something like this happens. So again, we're at one of the 2 hospitals where those 7 juveniles has been transported. Again, we're hearing that one of those students might be in very serious condition, and certainly our thoughts are to all those who are affected. We're waiting for official updates from hospital sources here on the ground, and guys, we'll keep you posted when that information comes in.
Alicia, thank you so much. We do know that you're at Einstein Hospital. 3 hospitals are involved. That's where all of these victims have been taken to these different hospitals. Jefferson Torresdale Hospital, there is 1 victim in critical condition and 1 shooting victim also taken to Jeans Hospital as well. We've got crews heading to those areas to bring us up to date on the status of the conditions of these victims at this point.
We should also mention now that Commissioner Bethel will give a live update shortly, and you can see that, of course, right here on CBS News Philadelphia.
All right, again, just to bring you up to date with breaking news we've been following now for at least the past hour or so, more than an hour. It happened at 3 o'clock this afternoon, a mass shooting at Cotman Avenue and Rising Sun Avenue. 7 people shot, all of them juveniles. 1 person critical. Alicia Roberts telling us that another victim is in serious condition at Einstein, where she is. Another shooting victim taken to Jeans Hospital, so they are taken to several hospitals in that area. All of this, again, happening around 3 o'clock this afternoon. Police right now looking for possibly 3 shooters involved in what we understand was a drive-by shooting there at the height of the afternoon.
There were numerous 911 calls, as you might imagine, in situations such as this, in a location such as this, one of the busiest intersections in all of Philadelphia. A dark blue or a dark colored Hyundai sedan is believed to have been involved in the drive-by shooting. Police are obviously now searching for that vehicle, its occupants, however many there may be involved in that. There are reports that there have been, or that there were as many as 3 different shooters that police are looking for. I think you just mentioned that. Joe Holden brought that information to us as well. Go ahead.
Yeah, also, CFO, it's important to note, again, that there were 2 buses here that were caught in the crossfire of this shooting. We don't even know how many shots were fired at this point, but there were 7 victims at this point. We can only imagine the amount of gunfire that possibly is littering that crime scene at this point. So 2 buses caught in the crossfire, no injuries, no one injured on those buses, but they are certainly there at that scene being processed right now as police are looking for the shooters in this mass shooting.
Those 2 SEPTA buses, the Route 18 bus and the Route 67 bus, as Natasha mentioned, the buses were hit. Luckily, nobody on board those buses was hit or injured, but just so much information for police to try to sift through to bring us the answers to the questions that we have. Why were the juveniles there? We believe that schools had not been let out at that time.
Well, at least not high schools, right, because they're staggered. We don't know. There could have been middle school. We don't know the extent of injuries. We don't even know the names. We don't even know the ages yet. We know they're all juveniles. We also know that we have Joe Holden, who has been flushing out information from his sources. He is on the phone again with us now to bring us up to date. Joe, what have you learned?
Well, Natasha Siafa still working all of those sources and all of those sources who are on the ground there dealing with the investigation. So sometimes in deference, we kind of let off a little bit and then check in as best we can, knowing they have a very important job to do. One thing we talked about extensively is the amount of surveillance video, the time it takes to go through that, but also in the investigation in the first few hours, it is always expected that detectives will arrive at the various hospitals that you've named to try to speak with those who were wounded in this. Part of developing a hard investigation, a good solid lead as to who might be responsible, is asking those who have been wounded, those who have been hurt, and who can provide information. Is there's anything? Is there a beef? Did something happen in school today? Were you aware of any sort of an instance that you can recall that may have led to this? And so in building a case, part of being on the hunt and locating those responsible is getting that really, really important information from those who are really.
If I get to that parking lot, I can go down and come back up.
What?
If I get to that parking lot, I can go down and come back up. And then again, they got a pizza delivery guy walking straight down the sidewalk.
Hey, Ben, we're trying to get to the press conference. We're on the other side. I don't know where Kyle is right now, but I'm on the side with Nikki. No, it's blocked off completely. So the police are trying to get me to go through. They're checking right now. I'll keep you posted, but we have no camera at the press conference right now. I'm kind of freaking out. What about Kyle? Is he anywhere close to that? It's 7300 block, not 7200 block.